Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you again for another Appalachian Trail Thru Hiker update. If you've come to this channel and you're looking for news about the Appalachian Trail Thru Hikers this year, or you've come to help me build the hiker community, then you've come to the right place. Before we get started, I did want to make one thing. I'm doing this, dedicating this update this week to Eddie Nooncaster. Noon was his trail name. And Noon was starting his thru hike this past week, and he was found deceased on his way up to Springer near the approach trail this past week. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in this video, but I did want to go ahead and do this in honor of him. So let's go ahead though and get with the thru hiker update. And of course the 2020 folks are in full swing. We still have a few 2019 folks that are still out there hiking. So right now we've got Quicksand on the trail. He is still out there, and he is probably should be around Gatlinburg right now. The last known pause I had on him was at Fontana, but he was going to be heading into the Smokies. And he was going to be meeting his wife at Newfound Gap, and they were going to take a day or so off and go into Gatlinburg there. And then we also have Baby Legs and 2020, and they should be coming out of the Smokies as I speak, and into Fontana. And then the last 2019 hiker that we are tracking is the Champ, and Champ should be through with the Smokies by now, and probably on his way to the Knock. That is his last section, and he will be finishing up his journey there at the Knock. So we look forward to seeing those finished pictures from you, Champ. Look forward to continuing on with Quicksand and Baby Legs, and 2020 is they are the last of the 2019 hikers that we are tracking. 2020 folks are in full swing out there, and we'll go ahead and start talking about them. But one thing about the 19 and the 2020 hikers have in common is the weather that's out there. So the weather's coming up today being Sunday. Today'd be a great day, but the rest of the week up until around Thursday, when it should start improving, but the rest of the week going to be looking pretty dismal for hiking. It's going to be a lot of rain, snow at altitude in the beginning of the week, and the temperatures are going to be getting cold at the beginning of the or at night, and then toward the end of the week where it starts getting a little drier, and the weekend weather starts improving. So Thursday starts improving. Next weekend, right now, long range forecast is looking better. This graphic is for the city of Asheville. So those temps are basically based around the elevation of Asheville, which is at 2,134 feet. So for every 1,000 feet of elevation you gain from that, you actually lose 3.3 degrees Fahrenheit of temperature. So it starts getting a little chillier. The higher you go up there, obviously you get 2,000 feet above that, and you've already lost almost 7 degrees temperature. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these temperatures on this chart here, and plan accordingly. But we are going to have some rain, snow. It is going to be moving in from this low that's coming through for the first of the week. So just keep that in mind out there, folks, as you are finishing up your trip, or just in the beginning stages of your trip. Current registrations we have for the ATC 2020 folks. Nobo, last week we had 1,955, and this week we got 2,042 folks that are registered on the ATC site. And that's on the uptick from what we had last year. Here's a graphic from last year's bubble of this same time. One of the things that's interesting is by this time last year we had maxed out the trail on several days, and we have not maxed out the trail yet. So folks have been kind of spreading out a little bit about when they are hiking this year compared to last year. Subo, we had 91 last week, and this week we have 103. And then flip-floppers, last week we had 84, and this week we have 90. So that brings us to a total of 2,130 folks from last week, and this week we've got 2,235 that are officially registered through the ATC. Now that compares to this same time last year, 2019, we had 1,816 people registered compared to 2,235. So that's about a 35% increase from last year. Last year we had bag tag number 147 is when we did our update last year about this same time, and we are already up to bag tag number 372. So that just goes to show you, though, that a lot of folks out there may not necessarily register through the ATC. I spoke down there with the office down at Amicalola State Park, and they indicated it's anywhere from 10 to 30% this year that don't register. They do encourage them, once they get there, they look and see if they're registered, and they get a sheet, and they know who's registered when they get checked in down there. And it's not required to be registered, it is voluntary, but they encourage them to go ahead and sign up through the ATC while they're down there, just for data mining purposes. So I thought that was pretty interesting what was going on down there. They indicated to me that the day before yesterday they had 30 folks that started. Yesterday they had 20, and today, as of about 2 o'clock this afternoon, they had 20 started. And of course the day is young at that time too. So a lot of folks are out there. Those shelters is going to be like a moving town going through there for the first week or so. So just keep that in mind as you're going down there, as you're getting ready to, if you're getting ready to start your trip, or if you're somebody who's thinking about doing a section hike down there in the southern part. Now may not be a good time to do that. Anything that's overnight may not be a good time to do that, because it's going to be a lot of folks going to be through there. Hikers that are off the trail from our last update, we have Damfino, and Damfino decided she was just not enjoying her trip, and so she decided that she would go ahead and get off permanently. So folks, don't know if there's anybody else out there who's gotten off. I have heard rumors that there have been some folks getting off. If you do decide to get off, we would appreciate it if you would update it to your social media, because the folks that are watching you in the hiker community that are watching you and cheering you on, they care about you, and they want to know if you're on the trail or off the trail. A lot of folks ask me, and they kind of ask me, they seem like they're pretty worried about it, if somebody's gotten hurt or something's gone wrong. And so if you do decide to get off the trail permanently, then please let us know. If you stop posting, it would be a good idea just to let us know that why you're no longer posting. Certainly nobody expects you to do that forever. It can be pretty onerous to do that. But we'd like to know if you decide to stop, that you have decided to stop, not that you just disappeared or might be a problem somewhere. We have added some new folks to the 2020 list, and we'll continue to do that. That list can be found down in the description section. There's a link to it where there's a Google spreadsheet with everybody that we're tracking. It's somewhere around 250 folks right now, with all of their social media accounts, where you can go and go to there and keep track of where they're going, look at their videos, look at their posts, and then leave them a comment, subscribe to their channels or follow their channels, and then give them a comment, keep them spurred on all the way. The best way to find out who's doing what is to go ahead and subscribe to this channel, and we'll give you these weekly updates, and we'll let you know who's doing what out there. And then also, a lot of times, thru hikers themselves check out this channel to see where their friends and their classmates, where they're going. So folks, keep me posted. If you're a thru hiker, the best way to keep me posted is to send me a message through my Facebook page at ramdinoroamingthetrails, and you can just send me a message there, or through my Instagram account at just simply Ramdino. Just send me a quick message, give me an update toward the end of the week, Friday or Saturday, how things are going or where you're at. Even send me a video. Some folks have been sending some videos, and I'll probably go ahead and start posting some of those videos this update. So we appreciate that. The hiker community wants to know where you're at and be involved as much as possible from home as they can, and cheering you on. 2020 hikers that I do have updates that have sent me their positions and where they're at for this past week. We've got Rock Flipper. He has crossed into North Carolina. I'm gonna mess this name up big time. Anina has started his hike over the last few days. Florida girl, she is past Neal's Gap and coming into Dix Creek in a few days. Jeep, Night Train, and Crusoe, they are past Fontana and they are heading into the Smokies. Team Honey Badger, they're in the Smokies now. Smiley and Blister, they should be coming into the Roan Mountain Highlands this upcoming week, and actually may be in Damascus toward the end of next week. So we'll see how that goes. Smiley and Blister both been dealing with stomach virus, or actually it wasn't a virus, it was food poisoning that they picked up town food. So just keep that in mind. Town food will make you weak, folks. But they picked up some food poison there at an all-you-can-eat buffet. And I think Smiley's kind of had the worst part of it, but they still been doing 20-mile days. So go give them a shout out and let them know you wish them well. Also, in his group, they are past the 100-mile mark, and they are saw them today up on Siler's Bald. Hangfire, he is somewhere between the Knock and Fontana. Mischief on the Trails on the flip-flop, and he is around Newport, Virginia, and heading Nobo. In Newport, Virginia, that is in the general vicinity of the Kiefer Oak and the Aldi Murphy Memorial. Subman and Suds, they are off the trail for a few days, avoiding some of this bad weather. Nutty Hiker, she got started, and she should be at Neal's Gap in a few days, and she's hiking along with Frosty and Sam Green. Wild should be coming into North Carolina any day if he's not already there. John Lavigny Jr. is past Franklin, and he is on his way to the Knock. Awoken Ghost wanted me, he hadn't started his hike yet, but he did want me to give a shout out to his brother, Captain Richard Schultz with the United States Coast Guard. And he just wants to say that, brother, why don't you come on with me? Let's take this hike and let's do some brother bonding here and go and have a good time and see a part of the country and part of God's creation that a lot of folks don't get to see, and let's do it as a brother. So, Captain Schultz, to begin with, we appreciate your service to this country, and we would recommend highly that you get on out there with your brother and enjoy the trail with him. The Radcliffes, they should be coming into Dix Creek if they're not already there, or actually coming into North Carolina any day now. Steve Shelton, he's made it to the trail and is somewhere around Neal's Gap. Braid, she made it to Springer and she's heading north. Camper and Pickleball, they have crossed their first border into North Carolina. Congratulations on that, guys. And Screwball is right behind them. He stayed an extra day in Hiawassee, but they indicated that he hikes faster than they do and that he should be along probably today as well. So that is all that we have got for the folks that we've updated that have sent me their updates and folks that I've just run across. You'll find a list of all the hikers that we're tracking again in the description section. That link there, it's a Google Doc spreadsheet, so everybody has access to it. If you'd like to, if you're a thru hiker and you'd like to be added to that list, then there's also the information in the description section that I need to include you in that list. And if you'll go and check that out and send that to me, either over on my Facebook page at Ramdino Roaming the Trails through a message, or my Instagram account through a message, or you can leave it in the comment section down below in this video, or you can email it to me at ramdinoroamingthetrails@gmail.com. We want to include everybody out there and want to build the hiker community to help you and around the thru hikers to just keep them spurred on all the way. Rick Ross is from Connecticut, and he is a subscriber, and he wanted me to mention to everybody about Lyme disease. He has indicated that his wife passed away, I believe it was 3 years ago, from Lyme disease that she got from just a small deer tick in her backyard, and that it went undiagnosed for a while. And so when it came time to treat it, the doctors were hamstrung by the insurance companies and how to treat it, and eventually she passed away. So we offer our sympathies to you about that, Rick. But we appreciate you reaching out to everybody about it. And Lyme disease, of course, there's a lot of videos out there about ticks and about Lyme disease, so I won't go into great detail about that, but Rick did say that they have had a rather mild winter this year, and that the deer ticks are going to be out like gangbusters this upcoming summer and this upcoming late spring. So it's important for everybody to go out there and do what they can to avoid that, to check yourself every day for deer ticks. Another good prevention method is to spray your clothes down with permethrin and keep that, redo that ever so often, every couple of weeks, because it only lasts through a few washings. Of course, thru hikers don't do a lot of washings, but it's still a good idea to do it every couple of weeks. But he did want to mention that to him. There's the CDC says that 330,000 Americans are affected by Lyme disease every year. So that's a huge statistic, and we want to avoid that thru hikers. It will take you off the trail. I've been trying to find shuttles for folks to get around the bridge out up in Harpers Ferry. So most folks already know that there was a derailment up there on the CSX railroad, and along that trestle there, the footpath for the AT runs right along next to the trestle and was actually attached to the trestle. And when that train derailed, it took out several hundred feet of the footpath. So that has not been replaced yet, and so there's no way to get across there now. Can't walk across the trestle, and the only way to get around that is to do a road walk out on a highway. That's not a good idea because it's not a good shoulder, so that doesn't need to happen. And what the ATC right now is just telling people that they need to get shuttles around there, and they're kind of leaving themselves on their own to get those shuttles. Well, I've been trying to reach out to some shuttle folks up there and have not had much luck. The local outfitter has not returned, given me any information from Harpers Ferry. The ATC has not given me any information. The National Park Service has not given me any information. I finally did get some information from a partnership up there called the Canal Towns Partnership. And it was several years ago when they had some flooding up there, and a couple bridges on the C&O Canal bike path that runs from DC up to Harpers Ferry. Some of those bridges were washed out, and so the Canal Towns Partnership as well as the National Park Service joined together and was given shuttles for bike riders around those bridge out areas. Well, I don't know why it's taken them this long to come up with that idea, but it looks like that's going to happen again this year for hikers. The Canal Towns Partnership is made up of somewhere around 10 different towns, 2 counties or 2 states, and several different counties up there. But they basically kind of oversee and keep the C&O Canal, keep it preserved. And of course, the Appalachian Trail runs over several miles of the C&O Canal. So I've learned that the National Park Service and the ATC and the Canal Towns Partnership, the CTP, are going to partner together, and they will be offering shuttles. Right now, they don't have a time frame for when that will be done. I don't know if it's going to cost people anything or not. But that is coming up. Hopefully that'll be done here shortly before the bubble gets there. Of course, the bubble hasn't got there yet, but there are several flip-floppers who's already started that are going to be impacted by this. And then as far as rebuilding and replacing the footpath, that is going to be done. There is no timetable for that. It gets complicated because the CSX Railroad is going to be paying to do it. However, the footpath that's attached to the CSX Railroad is owned by the National Park Service. So now the two have to work together. And so now you have a government entity working with a private or publicly owned entity, not a government entity. And so now you get things go a little south, a little squirrely. So don't know when that's going to happen. There's no time frame. There's no information on the National Park Service website or the ATC. All that's blank. Nobody will return your emails up there. And so the best cooperation, the best information I've gotten out of is Abby down at the Canal Towns Partnership. So Abby, if you're watching this, appreciate that. I'll keep everybody posted when I find any more information, and hopefully they'll get that thing going just as soon as possible for the shuttles, and then they'll get that rebuilt. But I would not count on that being rebuilt by the time the bubble gets there. I've had several people that have asked me to mention their fundraiser for either trail angels or for even hikers, because I mentioned Fresh Grounds and the Leapfrog Cafe's fundraiser. I know Fresh Ground personally is why I mentioned it so much. These other groups, and I don't mean anything bad by it, but I just don't know them personally. So I'm sure they are fine folk, and particularly anybody who wants to be a trail angel. But I know where the money's going to go with Fresh Ground. He is putting together a 501c3, so that will be tightly controlled by the IRS, and he'll have to be accountable to the IRS, as well as his board that he's putting together now. So for other folks, may not necessarily be so. But if you are a trail angel, then we want to know about you. We want to include you in that list. And so there are trail angels already on that list. And so if you're not there, send me your information. We'll be sure to include you there. And we'll also include your charity on there as well, and a link to how folks can contribute, if they choose to do so, to you being a trail angel. And we do the same thing for thru hikers. If you are a thru hiker and you're on the list and you have a charity, then send me that link to that charity. We'll include that with your name as you're raising money for your charity. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, I did want to mention a little bit about Eddie Nooncaster, also known as Noon on the trail. It's very tragic that happened. He, as most of you know by now, he got lost. There were several days worth of search that occurred from a lot of folks in the hiker community, a lot of other individuals, including obviously Eddie's family and first responders were there looking for him, and it tragically ended that they found Eddie after a few days of searching, and he was deceased. Eddie was a thru hiker. He'd been planning this for years. He was doing the approach trail, and somehow things went sideways for him, and he got off of the approach trail. And apparently what I've been able to discern was that he started hiking on the Linfoot Inn trail, going toward the Linfoot Inn. So the Linfoot Inn is an inn up there that you have to hike to get there. I believe it's run by the Park Service. It's one of these kind of off the grid type of deals. People go and hike in. There's no roads to it. Kind of like the cabins and the places up further north on the trail. Kind of like Mount LeConte, I believe, if you're familiar with Mount LeConte. But anyway, the trail to the Linfoot Inn branches off from the Appalachian Trail approach trail, coming up from Alamo Falls State Park, and apparently he got off on that. He got disoriented. He apparently left some of his equipment there because some employees from the Linfoot Inn found some of his equipment. He was able to make a call to 911, and 911 indicated that he sounded somewhat disoriented where he was. But in any case, they found him near Cochran Falls. Cochran Falls is south of the Linfoot Inn. So most outdoorsmen, which I'm assuming he was since he was a hiker and had been planning this trip for a while, most outdoorsmen, it's ingrained in them, probably from a young age, it was me, that if you get lost, you head downhill, you find a creek source, and you follow that source all the way downhill till you come to civilization, because folks always build around water, and eventually you will come to civilization. So somehow Noon got disoriented. He found Cochran Creek and followed that down, and Cochran Creek goes to Cochran Falls, which is a pretty large falls, and they found him in the vicinity of the falls. So and that was where he passed away. So right now, currently, Tribute, and Tribute was a thru hiker from next year, and Tribute is spoken with the family, and he is going to make arrangements with the family to get Eddie's tag and hand that off to a thru hiker, and that tag is going to go all the way to Katahdin. If a thru hiker decides to get off the trail, then he'll pass it along to another thru hiker until that tag makes it all the way to Katahdin. Tribute's going to put together a Facebook page so that we can track that. So greatly appreciate that, Tribute, for you putting that together. Thanks a lot for helping build the hiker community of that. I will say this, is that the family was just thrilled of the reception they got, and from the hiker community, and just the help they got, and just in general, what a great community this is. And we saw the same thing last year during the tragedy with Lieutenant Correction Sergeant Sanchez on the trail, and the tragedy that happened with him. His family was blown away by what the hiker community, has done out there, and I'm always blown away by what a great community this is. So guys, keep it up, and I just appreciate everything you do. Everybody, a lot of folks can't get out there and be a trail angel, but you can keep people jacked up, and keep them help keep them in the right frame of mind on their thru hikes by going to their channels, and by going to their Facebook page or their IG account and following them and commenting and just letting them know that you're all behind them. A lot of folks do that, and I just get a kick out of watching this hiker community grow, and that's what I'm all about, is building the hiker community and helping it to grow. Speaking of the hiker community, we got a section down there in Hikers Helping Hikers, so don't forget to check that out. We got a Trail Angel section on the list. Don't forget to check that out. Fresh Ground has been out of the loop for the past week due to the flu, but he is back to cooking now. So there was a lot of hungry hikers out there, and now he's back. He's got all that out of his system, and he's feeding folks, and he is probably going to be for the next day or so around Franklin, around Rock Gap area, and then heading on to Fontana. A lot of other trail angels out there. Please let me know if you are one and would like to be included on that list. We appreciate all you folks do. Folks, I appreciate you watching this channel. Help me build the hiker community by sharing this channel, subscribing to it, leaving me a comment. Want to hear all the comments you have. A lot of great ones out there. As always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out here.